All right, we're doing our usual Monday stream. I think a little bit earlier than usual. Our usual, unusual Monday stream is a term I should have used instead. I just wanted to. I hate YouTube ads so much. I don't know if you could hear that. There was an ad that started playing on my phone. I had YouTube opened on the app. But I was going to say I wanted an archive, or at least give my review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, barring its last episode, in the case that the last one pisses me off or does anything that reverses all of what's been done up to this point. I did not really care that much for this show going in because I kind of found Falcon just be a side character that they didn't really do much with. And Winter Soldier, on the other hand, while developed over the course of Civil War and the second Captain America film, I didn't think, barring those two installments, they really did much to go into his character. So, especially in both the Avengers films, where he's there for just not both the Avengers films, in Infinity War and Endgame, where he's there for little small itty bitty amounts of time. So it was I at least welcomed it on the chance of exploring some characters that were overshadowed by other ones, and it really surprised me and how much I liked it. So I've watched some people talk trash about it on here online, but we already have been over this before. People talk trash about everything online. You can type in any show, movie, whatever, and you'll find someone saying negative things about it. I saw one person who was saying the show was bad because of like 2 scenes in the second episode. I said, well, if I have a 6-hour, because the show's episodes are all about an hour long, if I have a show that's, let's say, 4 or 5 hours of content, and there's only 2, 3, 4 minutes of stuff you don't like, I think that's really good. That seems like a pretty decent ratio of what works and what doesn't, or at least what amount of it you enjoyed. No, I was not expecting Walker to be as interesting as he is. It's sad too, because people were messing with Wyatt Russell. That's the actor that plays Walker. Because apparently we still have to tell grown people that the character the person plays is not the person themselves. I just found the character very interesting. It's crazy to see this person who's appointed by the government to be the new version of Steve, and then at the same time wants to do that and isn't just this straight up villain, but then you see cracks as he's just continuously put in circumstances that I think would aggravate any normal person. No, U.S. Agent, which is the name of his character in the comics, is another one of those villains that I shouldn't say villain. Another one of those characters that is really interesting when they work with the protagonist in mind. So like I complained that with Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, we're not going to get to see the real Mandarin ever fight Iron Man, which is the most irritating thing in the world because that's his archenemy in the comics. And it's similar with Walker. I would have really liked to have seen him interact with Steve to some capacity, just because I think it would make for an interesting interaction to see someone who's appointed to succeed another person, having that person they're appointed to succeed reacting to what they're doing. That's the one thing I hate about these contracts for these actors. They and sometimes they do just want to move on from doing a role or whatever, but you can tell a lot of interesting stories with good writers and good actors in this medium. That sucks. That's not a detriment to the show. It's just an issue with like one of the actors not wanting to show up and do something. No, I'd say the show probably out of anything is like is the closest we're going to get to a Captain America 4. Just because a lot of the ones that appear in it, like Zemo, for example, they haven't really shown up or done anything of importance since Civil War. So it contains a lot of those plot threads just without the titular character. A non-binary decided to show up and bless us all with their amazing yellow bird. What was I gonna say? It sucks doing these and trying to like not be the spoiled person who just reveals a bunch of stuff. I still sometimes do find it interesting to think about how in the first episode we don't see Falcon and Winter Soldier interact. And it was amusing because this is the show with 6 episodes, so that means for a sixth of the show, they don't even have a scene together. A show that's built on the chemistry of those two actors, they're not even in the scene together for the pilot or the first installment. I was thinking of redoing another stream I did about what was that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Let's see. That's why I have the title of it not directly in the title, but it's there. It's like alluded to. Okay, the stream was called "Why I Hate Texting," and I'm gonna get to it in a second. I'm gonna paraphrase, not paraphrase it, but redo it. Put the phone on the charger. All right, so I want to clarify. When I say I hate texting, I'm referring to, for the most part, talking to people by text. Now there are exceptions, like if someone can't speak to you, over the phone, I consent to it. I don't care. But I think in most instances, it is a much crappier way of communication than speaking to someone either over the phone or in person. And I'll explain in a few seconds why. I also want to say this because it is in line with a lot of the things that I don't like about the internet. So you've been probably in some comment sections before, whether you're non-binary or some other person, and you've probably seen this scenario play out. Someone doesn't like something, so they type out a paragraph, 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs talking about this thing they don't like. And someone else responds to that by saying, "I'm not reading that." And I always hated when people did that because you don't have to tell people what you're going to do to just not do it. If I were to, let's say, see a slate of, and by slate, I'm referring to announcements of different video games, right? And they make games and genres I don't like. I'm not going to go to those developers and say, "I'm not going to play these games." I just won't buy them. But I bring that up because so often in my own comment section, back when I used to respond to people by typing things back to them, you would see this scenario play out. Somebody would type something that was long, or that might have been like 2-3 sentences, and then another person would reply. Sometimes I would reply to it, and it would be longer because I would be taking the time to respond to each thing that they said. And that person would then reply by saying, "I'm not reading all of that." That happened at least twice. And it's really irritating because part of the point of doing this stuff on social media where people get to interact with each other is to hear the positions and opinions of others. So when people come and they want to express their opinion to you in so many words, but don't allow you to respond to their opinion in so many words, I don't see how that makes for a fruitful dialogue. And I've never seen over the course of a phone call where someone will, let's say, talk for a minute or 2 or 3 and just state their points of something another person interrupt them and go, I don't want to hear you talk about this any longer. You've been going on for like 10 minutes. You do see that sometimes online, but in real life, when people have a call, I don't see that as often. Again, from personal experience of just, it's much more enjoyable to talk to some, at least to me, over the phone because there's a lesser chance of the person trying to state their unwillingness to hear what you're saying. If that makes sense. And it's really irritating too because, I have people that I've met on line who I used to trade emails with. I would write them some paragraphs, they'd write me some paragraphs. And maybe sometimes you don't feel like reading it. So I use Google Speech. So it's this thing where you put all the text into, you highlight the text and you get your computer to say it out loud for you. But it's very monotone voice. And even with doing something like that, it's still attempting to hear out what the other person is saying, to actually have a dialogue. So when I have these people who will come to a video and then, write some long comment themselves and then tell you that they're not going to read all of what you wrote, or, and this is another thing they like to do, you'll type out, let's say they type a paragraph, right? And to respond to each one of their 5 or 6 sentences, you have to type out 2 sentences or a sentence. So your thing ends up being 2 paragraphs in response to their 1 paragraph, because that's how long it took you to answer each and everything they said. What ends up happening with text conversations, and this happens with some people I like as well, is that they'll ignore certain parts of what you said to them in your comments when they respond back to you. And this happens with videos as well, where I talked about the person that wrote the 5 paragraphs and only responded to 2 sentences of I think that was like a 10 or 11-minute video. Like I always find stuff like that amusing because there was this joke on the Why Don't Approach Women Anymore video that a lot of people who write comments on those don't actually write that comment to the video. They're writing it just in general somewhere and then copying and pasting it there. Because if someone doesn't respond to anything you said in a video, how are you supposed to know the person actually, like the only way I can get that these people even saw the video is if they're like, oh, well, you said this, which is still very rare for detractors. Usually they start, talking trash about you're ugly and all the rest of that. So you're still left with the feeling of doubt that the person actually saw what you were talking about. You said that you in this paragraph thing, hey, I didn't write it. I just received it. I didn't grab your hands or your fingers and make you type that. No, that's what you said in your comments. Because again, it is worth discussing this. I wouldn't be surprised if he dedicates a segment of his stream to me. As in, you were cognizant of the fact that I probably, even if I saw what you wrote, wasn't going to respond to it by typing. And I'm explaining that's correct. Because every time I did that in the past, where someone writes a bunch of stuff and I try to respond to all of it, overwhelmingly, they either don't answer back or they write back stuff where they ignore parts of your response to them after you've thoroughly addressed everything they've said. That's why the stream format is much more desirable to me, because you can actually address what the person is saying. And even if the person themselves isn't there, you still have other people who say, oh yeah, I understand what you were conveying. We'll read the whole thing on the stream from start to finish. We'll narrate your comments. Now, that's been a recurring gag on this website, where people will write long things to you, and then when you write back to them, they say they're not going to read it. Or they say that to someone else. And I find that so irritating, again, because it's social media. And you have people who act, and my thing is, you don't have to, no one is saying you're required to read every comment that somebody writes, but the majority of comments on this site are not long. which means when there are ones that are, have more thought put into them, I don't know why people can't just take a minute or two or three to just read the comment. I saw one person leave a comment on a Jim Cornette podcast upload that was about 2 or 3 paragraphs, and somebody said, and I was like, but reading this comment is not, it doesn't even take a 10, because each episode of his podcast is like 2 or 3 hours long. You could read that comment in less than a 20th of the time it takes to actually sit here and watch the whole show. And they still wouldn't read it. But that's why I was saying I don't see these types of interactions with people that talk voice to voice. Like sometimes I'll speak to a person and they might not address everything I said if I go on for a minute or two, and I'll ask them, hey, what about this thing? And usually you can have good faith and assume the person, because you don't have, with a lot of people, a thing of just taking every sentence that somebody says and storing it. So, I assume that they just, hey, maybe made a mistake and not responding to this part, or maybe they were going to get to it and, remind them. Usually you just go from there. But it's with these text interactions that there's this antagonism. And it's like a very strange hypocrisy. They want to be heard, which is why they write these comments, but then they don't want to hear other people. Always hated that. And this is the premier website for that, because even though I don't like Twitter, and I think it's probably a much more toxic, less deserving of existing website than YouTube, because at least with YouTube, people can put up videos and actually be productive in the stuff that they say and do. And there are some tweets that are like that as well. Because that website has a number of characters you can use, you don't see this, this weird antagonism. Oh, this person wrote 10 comments, I'm not responding to any of them. Because they limit how many things you can type in one tweet, you don't see this on there as often. And that's actually one of the reasons I don't understand why people even talk on that site. I would hate to not be able to type more than like 1 or 2 sentences without having to start a Twitter thread where it's like a person responding to them. So I would hate that so much. I never understood why that site was popular for that reason, because I know a lot of people online like to argue, and whether it's Facebook or here or hell, even Wikipedia, they all allow you to type paragraphs to other people to actually go in depth with stuff. Twitter's the only one that has this small number of characters you can use. It's very strange hypocrisy. Read what I write. Well, I don't read what you write. That's really fair. No, these people online are the biggest hypocrites in the world. Like, I'll even admit myself, I was complaining about how like a good chunk of my subs don't leave comments. And I'll freely admit, I don't leave comments either for a lot of the channels I watch. I usually will if I watch the video all the way through. But I don't do it every video, and I've never asked for every video. I usually say if I get like 1 or 2 a week, I'll be content from different people. But it's too tough. And I was saying I think it's so weird that you have these people who like come on a stream and type out 10, 20, 30 comments, but then when you do a video, nowhere to be seen. But even with something like that, it's just me saying I don't really get where, if someone talks about various topics, because some people say they don't know what to say. I don't get where, if someone talks about different things, it's hard to find something to talk about. Like if I watch a video by Jimmy Dore or the Young Turks or some group like that, I'll usually write a comment that responds to points they made or something they said, even if I agree or disagree with it. And usually I agree with it, so I'll just say, oh yeah, I agree with this point that you made here about that, just to highlight it. Oh, here comes James. Don't worry, we're gonna make fun of that person that was in your comment section. Just keep being the best you can be, and I promise you the right one will come along. Good luck. Why do you need luck for something that you can promise somebody? Tomorrow I'll be paying non-binary $10. I promise. Good luck. Oh my god! It's like this is why I said this website is like a cartoon. Because again, and I've said this before, I do not consider myself some amazing, brilliant person, but the arguments with this romance stuff are so poor. They don't like they're not backed by fact. Because a lot of times when people tell you stuff about it, you can go in real life and see someone who doesn't do the things they say you need to do to get with someone. Um, they're very toxic, and that's why I was thinking of doing a video on how being straight has become a bad thing, where I was going to address how I've gone on Twitter and I've looked at women complaining about not being able to get with a man, um, people that are into the same gender as themselves complaining about not, like complaining about their romantic life, and nobody goes and says they're going to do any of this violent stuff that you'll get accused of if you're a man who complains about not getting with a woman. Oh, there was somebody who said, you did you screenshot it, or is it still there? I told this story before. I used to be on this one it's like a website where people log on to counsel other, people on the internet. And, sometimes just want somebody to talk to, whatever. I know that when I was in like, 10th, 11th grade, I was more interested in those kind of interactions. All right, I'm gonna go over there and look. Let me get my phone. And there was a chick that I was talking to, and I was describing how difficult it was to not have a partner after all these attempts you make below. And she was like, "Well, maybe you like boys." And I was thinking to myself, imagine how insane it would be if a woman came online and was talking about her lack of success with getting with a man, stating that this is something she clearly wants to see happen, her getting a relationship with a man, and then I say to her, "Well, maybe you like other women." Have we seen her make out with another woman? Have we seen her hold hands with another woman? No, but her sexuality is determined by the decisions of other people. That's how she converts to being a lesbian. But again, you don't see this with other groups. Like you would never, I guarantee you, because there are gay men who get turned down by other gay men. You would never see someone go to tell a gay man who gets turned down by other gay men and say, "Well, maybe you're straight." Like it doesn't happen. It's only if you're a man that gets rejected by chicks that they make all these like weird innuendos and try to assume what you are. I'm gonna do it on my phone. I'm not about to sit here and play leapfrog to read this this probably goofy comment. I really hope this comment is worth reading. Go to my subscriptions. 200 views. Wow. 13 comments. Oh, yes. He says, "Don't want to offend you, but I honestly think you're gay." No offense taken. He's lucky he didn't say that over here. A lot of offenses taken. Hey, when he said that, James, did you put up a video of you holding hands with another man or kissing another man or pining for other men? Like it's so stupid. They like, oh my god. And again, one of the reasons I don't like that is because when you do a video and you have a comment section, the point of the comment section is for people to respond to the video. Like for as bad as that comment was by that broad, at the very least, you know, she responded. Well, no, she didn't respond to what he was saying, but she still responded to the topic. Yeah, you haven't been able to get with the woman because you're gay, and all the chicks can see it because they're all so amazing and telepathic and. I actually had this one chick that said she didn't understand why I would be upset about being considered gay. And I said, you have to be the dumbest bimbo in the world to not be able to comprehend that. After all the persecution that homosexuals have received in the US and across the world, you're really confused as to why somebody would not want to be assumed to be one of them. Really? And especially if you're making points that are valid about how difficult it is to get with a woman, and these people are only saying that so they can, like explain away why this is so difficult for you, even though it's difficult for a whole bunch of other people as well, which is why you have entire groups dedicated to, this same issue. And if I was gay, I would be complaining about not being able to get a man. But let's pretend that you made a video like that as a gay man. You would not see anyone go to your video and say, hey, since you're not able to get with another man, you might be straight. You never would see that. That's why I said, like, what is the purpose of these comments? Who does this help? James, has there been one, since you made that video, it's got what, 200 views, like 10 comments? Has there been one comment that you can look at in that comment section and say, wow, they really helped me. They showed me the way. This is very thoughtful and nice or good or has done something for me. Like, I looked through the comment section after watching the video. I don't see one person in that entire, myself included, because I came on there to ask if I could use a screenshot. I don't see one person in there that is actually responding to what you had to say. Yeah, like they're useless. And listen, you so far haven't had the brunt of it where they start talking about you're going to blow up a building and all this other dumb crap. So you haven't received the total venom of the internet. But like I said, imagine having people come on a video where all you talk about in a very calm tone, you're not yelling, you're not screaming, you're not calling anybody different demeaning names. You're just saying, I tried as hard as I could, it didn't happen. I would have liked to have seen it happen. And then you have people coming to talk about you're a piece of trash. You need to do this and do. You wouldn't be too nice too longer. Euro says women pick guys at the finish line. Well, I don't even know what that means. Like if you go online and actually consider what every man believes to be the great guy or whatever, it'll be all over the place. That's why I said if you take most of the stuff people say on here seriously when they talk about what you have to do to get with a random broad, you will go crazy. It's so toxic. Now that'll be an interesting video. I might start the script today. I was trying to formulate different ideas and thoughts, and that's usually how those begin. I get some screenshots together and wove my narrative, pull up the magic. And then when you respond to people who write a lot of that mean stuff, they usually just double down on it. Like I had the guy that was writing the random comments over and over, and I was just like not saying anything to him. I told my mods, or one of them anyway, don't say anything to them. And he writes this crazy comments about doing 500 push-ups and running 3 miles. And like I said, these comments they're irrelevant to what I'm talking about. So one of my mods asked him, why does every time you write something, you don't address what he says? And he used that as an opportunity to insult my appearance, which again, I don't see how that leads to a productive discussion. People online are cruel as hell. LOL, YouTube comments, Twitter, Reddit, all super toxic and bad for mental health. Well, what I just think is comedic is how like hypocritical and insane a lot of this stuff is. Like you do a video like the one I did or the one that James did, and you have people who say you lack confidence, right? But then when you respond to them and you say, look, you guys are full of crap, the things you're saying are stupid, nobody's listening to you because of what you say doesn't make any sense, and here's why. You have too much confidence. But I do agree that they're all bad for. I still think if you're on Twitter and you're writing stuff to people and you have them on mute and you don't like look up your name, it's a much easier website to deal with. And again, the only problem I had with Reddit was that R for R section where it's a bunch of chicks asking to talk to men that they're just there to play with. Tell you that saga went on for 2 years, every day going on there. What new chick posted she wants somebody to talk to? I have a whole inbox filled with like 40, 50 different attempts at talking, and I got sick of it. I really think it's funny though because they're really not listening to what we have to say. Well, that's why I said if you were to take a majority of these comments that are not agreeing with you that are left on different like can't get a woman videos, they're not responding to anything that's actually said by that person. Which is why I said the comment section to me feels very useless because the point of the comment section is to respond to what was said in the video. People are more venomous online because they don't have to look you in the eye because in the circumstance you could actually do something about their trash talking. Yeah, people on the computer. Yeah, and that was another point I brought up. It's like you're gonna say the guy who shows his face, who isn't afraid to express his position, lacks confidence, as you're hiding behind the keyboard. You're going to make all these assumptions about me, but then expect me to believe in what you say. I'm supposed to get accused of stuff like, oh, you probably approach in a weird way. Never see me approach a single woman ever. But I'm supposed to also take. You're going to accuse me of things. Well, I'm supposed to take you at your word about all this stuff that supposedly worked out so much that you have no proof of. Because, like I said, not a single one of any of these men that has ever been in my comment section that disagrees with me on this topic has ever shown proof that they're with a woman. Not once. And you might say to yourself, well, why does someone have to again, anyone can come online and do what they do. I can make an account right now called let me parody somebody's name in the chat. Steve Venus. And I could say, look at me, and I'm laughing at this man who made a video about not getting with the woman, and I'm currently sitting in my car with my wife in my Lamborghini. It's just like the people who are talking trash about my appearance. I haven't seen a single one of them show their face or prove that they're these athletic Richmond aristocrats. Like, the people online talk a lot of trash, but they don't, they're not as big as they like to think they are. Well, we have Tony Mercury, so we need to have an Avengers first name and the planet as the last name. And you can't see what they look like either. A lot of people just talk out of their, yeah, which again, I could have respected, but when you're refusing, this is the way this works. People online want you to take them at their word when they type this different stuff to you, oh, do this magic thing and then woman will appear. But also don't want to take you at your word because I can find multiple comments where various things were assumed about me. Oh, you must be gay because you're not with a woman. You must be approaching in a weird way, even though we've never seen you approach a single broad ever on here. So I don't see where it's productive for me to read or engage with people who write comments like that. And that's why I said they act like villains. Like what hero what protagonist would go to, again, you're assuming that these men are older or at least are supposedly savvy on getting with a woman. What person that is considered good would go into the comment section of another person and disparage them about something that really doesn't matter? Like, there's a reason people start talking about what the man can do for the woman because it's accepted that the woman needs the man doesn't need the woman. Think about how many times have you seen these same people say, what can the woman do for you? It's never happened. It's always, what can you do for her? Because they accept that the only thing she has to offer is that. That whole homosexual thing is used to emasculate you. A lot of women do that online too. I don't think he likes when he plays for the other team, shaking my head. Yeah, but like I said, I don't see where that kind of commentary, which is mostly written in text, I don't see people making videos saying that about other people. How that's productive at all. Why I should engage with people who write stuff like that. I don't see how anything that they have to say when it's filtered through this antagonism is worth listening to. Let's see. Hey, good to be here finally. Hope everyone is good. It's not even about it being conclusive. Like I said, I can go through all these comment sections. I have had two people actually try to address what I said in the video. The rest of them are giving out, the little lip service advice, go to the gym, do this, blah, 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 blah. Or they're trying to insult you. You can't get with one because you're ugly. None of this stuff is helpful in the slightest. It's literally a waste of air. And I don't feel bad about saying it because, again, when you insult me online, I get to insult back. It's tit for tat. But I was saying that a lot of the venom that they have in those comments is almost exclusively entirely in text. I've met people I think I told the story before about how I was in a Discord server and they tried to say I was selfish because I didn't talk to women anymore, which I still, like, even after having that explained to me twice by one of the people that was there to listen to it, didn't understand. But it goes back to what I was saying about how when people are typing things, they feel this like weird strength. Like, yeah, I can go and say this about this person. Hope you're good. Over there greeting each other. Yeah, Envoy's going to jail soon. He stole that woman's picture. He's already been reported to the authorities. I actually was in the comment section a few days ago. Somebody had a picture of a senator as their avatar, and this guy said it's illegal to use his picture as your avatar, which, again, it's a public domain photo. And the person's not posing as them, so I don't really, whatever. People don't even know, like, basic law. You can't use this person's picture as your avatar. That's illegal. Then why do you have all those accounts on Instagram where they have like pictures of actors as their avatar? Like, really? I guess it's hard to just have meaningful discourse with some folks on YouTube since the floor is open to any way and people can just leave comments and not back it up. Right, but again, the catch-22 with that is if I look at those comments and conclude these are not worthy of me addressing by actually writing things back to these people because these people are not worth directly responding to. I can't see why it would be surprising that I would say, all right, I'm just only going to ever address what people write to me on a stream or a video, not to them directly. It's pretty insane just how much people seem to ignore or not address what was being said or conveyed in the video they watched, just very quick to throw insults at others or leave blanket statements. And that's why, and I saw your comments on the other video when I was talking about doing the video about like why being a straight male is a bad thing by the standards of today's society. I was going to express how when people come online, they often will express anger. You see people who talk very angrily about a movie they saw, about getting fired, about poor customer service somewhere. And it's accepted as a normal thing because frustration, anger are normal emotions and reactions to people not getting what they want. But for some reason, when you come on here, and it doesn't matter what tone you speak in, if you just say, I would have liked to have had a girlfriend or a date or whatever the hell, you have these people who try to take this normal reaction of a man would have to not getting what he would like out of his female contemporary, and then try to use it as a precursor to something more like, oh, he's part of this group that he's never identified with. He's going to blow up this building. And I don't see this with people that express the same emotion that are part of other groups. Like I've seen women talk trash about men, say they're they're horrible and all this other crap, and no one says they're going to do any of this violent stuff, or if they're part of a group they never assign themselves to. Just very quick and so. Or I'll see you later, James. I'm definitely looking forward to that video if you decide to put it out. Yeah, but the other one, I'll just end up probably rewriting the whole script. I'll keep in the part at the beginning where I make fun of the ridiculous thing the woman said in the comment section of a certain other person's video. But I was trying to say that the overarching theme of this stuff is to say that when you actually sit down and consider the arguments and the things that are said as it relates to people's reaction to men trying to get with a woman, you would not be mistaken to think it was wrong in today's society to be a straight man. I mean, we're on this stream on Saturday, and we've done the stream before, not like the same exact thing was said, but there was another stream I did where they were talking about women hitting the wall, and I said, imagine someone telling a young boy, let's say he's 12, 13, whatever, and he gets rejected for the first time by a classmate. That was how old I was when that happened for the first time. And you go to him and you say, don't worry, son, you'll be able to get a woman after she's been rammed through like a train tunnel by multiple other men and has hit the wall, and you have all this money and resources and you're physically fit, and you'll be her last resort, but you'll be so great and amazing at the same time, so it'll all work out. That would be insane. But for some reason, people actually think it's normal for a man to be so undervalued when in comparison to his female contemporary that he has to accept her for whatever broken down state she's in, but also at the same time has to climb up to some kind of, because again, most men do not have muscles. Most men are not millionaires. So they're asking you to be this Herculean type figure for a broad that is either average or even worse at best. And to wait some extraneous amount, because see, when I did the why prostitutes are better than girlfriends video, the point that's lost on a lot of people with that video is you cannot expect a man, maybe you can expect a boy, not a man, who actually, and I've said before, I don't care about getting banged, so it doesn't affect me one or the other, but you can't expect a young man to keep getting no romantic interest by his female contemporary and not just cut out the middleman and say, to hell with it, I'll just pay somebody to give me this interest, even if I know it's artificial, the person doesn't care about me. As opposed to sitting here and talking to all these broads who are just playing with me until the end of time. Like, this quote is from one of the, I think, the Pokemon games. There's a time and place for everything. It is not normal for a male by their early 20s to have to approach 90 chicks to maybe get a date online and in person. And if it is becoming normal, it's the wrong kind of normal. It's becoming normal for people to have children with someone they're not married to and then have these broken families. Doesn't mean it's good. Like as far as we can prove by statistics that people are getting divorced more often. I know that's why I can never take any of this advice from these people seriously or at face value. No way. And that's why I said that you can't let people online dictate for you what random chicks are going to do and what you're going to do. Envoy says, accept her at her worst, but she must have you at your best. Some folks are ridiculous with pushing this too strongly. I mean, and this is the other thing you have to understand, Envoy. People have this weird obsession, and I've never understood it because there are so many chicks that I don't find attractive. I don't think are like the most hideous beings ever, but I'm not interested in them. But people have this weird thing where they like to they up chicks by their appearance, and they use their appearance as a shield to get away with the woman having nothing to offer herself. Remember, it's always the man who's asked, what do you have to offer? So I don't get it because there's so many chicks that people think are attractive. Like that's why I never understood why you're supposed to do all these things for all these different broads that no matter what she looks like, people will say she's out of your league if they find her more attractive. I know that's why. Okay, I already read that. That's just the point of the video that I don't see these weird, like, because telling someone they have to wait year after year after year to get one broad to go on a date with them, right? Which is something that people have actually said to me in seriousness since I was 13, is insane. But it's not said to other types of people. I've never seen someone tell a gay man, oh yeah, you'll find a great guy in 2030 after you get rejected by all these other men. That's normal. I've never seen someone tell a woman she has to wait until the next decade to maybe meet someone that wants to go on a date with her. What I'm saying to you is if you look at every orientation of people, LGBT people, straight chicks, you don't see any other group being told they have to play these weird games of endurance, that they have to do these extraneous steps to get the smallest bit of reciprocation from their contemporary that they're interested in. It doesn't happen with these other groups. You don't see anyone telling them when they come online and say, I really wish this person would have gone on a date with me. You don't see people telling them they're part of a romance group that does violent things occasionally to people or a few times to people. No other sector gets as persecuted just for existing at this point as straight men do. Megumi says, yep, has anyone ever thought of that? The guy has to provide, and what can he bring to the table to benefit her? But see, that's what I was talking about, that when you're looking at this stuff in the context of a date, okay? If I want to go on a date with a woman, I'm not thinking of what she can provide for me because it's literally just you're going to sit somewhere with this person or go see a movie with this person for an hour or two, and then if you enjoy being around them, you can do it again or end it. So when people are telling you what you can do for women, when all you want is a goddamn date, they're already overstating and overcomplicating something that really shouldn't require this much effort, as I said earlier. But again, so much emphasis is put on these chicks having all of this power just because of their gender. Because I said before, I can totally and completely understand. Like, let's say I wanted to date Elizabeth Olsen, right? The actress that plays Scarlet Witch. World famous, much more successful than I am, both, in terms of status and wealth. It would make sense for someone like that, who actually is dating a guy that I never heard of, which is the most comedic thing I've seen. He's part of some band. It would make sense for a woman like that to actually be worth doing all of these steps for. And that's only marginally, because you got to remember, even if you do all this stuff, it still is possible this person doesn't even like you back. But that's someone who, when people say do these different things to try appealing to, it would make sense to me from the standpoint of they actually have accomplished the things that you're now being asked to do in order to appear attractive to them. But for some random broad that a lot of times doesn't have a pot to piss in, they're asking you to do all of these extraneous steps. And that's why I said that I've never seen other types of people that are not straight men be told to do these things. I've never seen someone tell a gay man that to get another gay man to like him, he has to go to the gym and have some ridiculous excess of money that no normal person would have, or live in a mansion. I just don't see that. I've never seen it with a straight woman where she's told to do things to appeal to a man. It's never happened. Megumi says, yes, I'll read your comment after this, Envoy. This highlights your points you said in your last stream about LGBT people that don't assign these weird connotations and strange violent actions as a straight guy would get from others. You don't see anyone telling a transgender, and there have been a number of transgender assassinations, like spiking or whatever. So, they have a right to be upset, but you would never see someone say that, oh man, they're probably mad that they didn't get with whoever they were pining for. So watch out for this transgender person is going to blow up this building. You would never see it, because every other group of people, again, whether it's straight women or a member of the LGBT community, is accepted as being allowed to be angry about something that any normal goddamn person would be upset over. Okay, Envoy says, if you even have standards for women, you have to be very careful saying that out loud on the internet, because some folks will say that's inherently problematic. Well, again, I wish people would stop pretending that women don't have standards. Ones that are so ridiculous that entire groups now exist online about not being able to get with one. But no, that's going to be the central point of the video. You can't, what people have done, especially online, because I don't see this as much in real life. Like, no one in real life has ever called me the I word, so that's how you know it's mostly computer stuff. But what people online have done is create a culture where a thing that was considered normal, a man being attracted to women, and then getting turned down, and then being upset that he was turned down after believing that the woman liked him, is now considered a strange or bad thing, while other groups of people get to express their anger, their frustration, their rage, and it's seen as normal. And remember, on a lot of these videos I've done where I'm talking about like how difficult it is to go with a woman, I don't even scream, I don't yell. And there are multiple ones I've done where I don't call anybody out their name. But again, you'll still get lumped into these groups and accused of this various stuff. So this is, what's the way of saying it? It's like, if you're a man and you have a difficult time getting with a woman, and this is like known or believed or whatever, you're accused of being gay. You're accused of possibly wanting to do violence, even if you've never said you wanted to in any capacity. And it's just, I don't see these hangups and these negative consequences. Like, it's already bad enough you don't get with the person that you like, right? And that's always the thing that sucks about getting rejected. But I don't see these same negative consequences for other groups of people. You're not allowed to express any frustration or discontent, regardless of what tone you use either. It's crazy, all because you are a straight guy. It's absolutely insane. But see, that's why I said I can never feel bad about doing the kind of stuff I do on here, because I want you to really think about this. What normal person, right, who's attracted to a woman or to anybody, right? And that person that they're attracted to tells them sometime, in various instances, I feel we have a connection. I really like you. I want us to keep speaking. Different stuff that would be considered a positive if you are trying to get this person to like you back. And then that person suddenly says, "Oh no, I never liked you. I just wanted to be a friend. Goodbye forever." Or, "Hey, want to be friends even though that's not what you wanted." I don't know anyone who has been rejected romantically who has not been disappointed by that. Like if I smiled after something happened I didn't want to happen, I'd be considered a psychopath. I mean, it's a completely normal emotion to be upset when something you wanted to happen doesn't happen. But when you come online, people have this weird thing about making that a bad thing. And I gave the example of the woman that sent me the paragraph where she was talking about, again, she admitted out of nowhere, just to be clear, I'm not looking for anything romantic. And then she tried to say, oh, it wouldn't be a bad thing if you were trying to approach me. But you wouldn't have to write a paragraph as a disclaimer, as a warning. Like imagine going to the zoo and there's a disclaimer and it says, do not bring food in here. And you don't have any food on you. And then the guy who wrote the sign is like, oh, don't worry. It would be okay if you brought food in here. Then why did you have the sign saying don't bring food in here? No, the internet is hostile, right? People on here are toxic, but it is excessively hostile towards men who can't get with a woman. There is a weird specific, because like I said, I talk about the news and I'll get upset or angry or like, have like a hatred or hating tone in one of those, and nobody tells me I'm gonna blow up a building. So this is not about, oh, you're a man, you're not supposed to show anger. This is about people wanting chicks to be able to do this to you forever, keep projecting over and over and over again, and also wanting to control and dictate the narrative associated with your justified disillusion with what these people have done. She literally just revealed herself by warning you off about, and guess what? After that month, that I never heard about that boyfriend ever again. I still believe that was a fictional character she made. And like I said, I that's why I did the video on the friend zone. Why does whatever? All this stuff just segues into different things that don't make sense. I really would like to do a video about the double standards, like stuff that chicks do to me that, like, if I did to them would be considered flirtatious, or like it would be, but the optics of it would be bad. Like in the video I did, it was called "Why Do Women with Boyfriends Like Talking to Me?" And I didn't show this in the video, but one of the chicks asked me for a picture of me, and I was like really weirded out because, like, we're just talking about movies. Why do you need to see what I look like? But again, if I were to do that to a woman I was speaking to about films, it would be construed as you're trying to get with her. Just like that's why I brought up Discord and talked about it. That's the only website I've ever seen where private messaging a woman, simply saying hello, how are you doing, is considered flirting. And it's the most insane thing to me because I've had chicks on the computer private message me before, just the act of private messaging, and how are you doing? Are you all right? And I didn't consider it anything like. But that's why I was saying that there's these like weird assumptions and antagonism that are only associated with men, with straight men. I've been there. I've been in a relationship to just being friends, to her saying I I should fight her, to her saying it's not working out, all in the place of a week, 2 weeks. Yeah, that's the same thing happened with that broad that told me I was too good for her. You say that, and then like what, 2, 3 weeks later, I don't think this will work out for many reasons that I can't articulate to you. Goodbye forever. But again, if I get upset over that, if I say, hey, this is more proof that this thing with chicks and talking to a whole bunch of them for year after year is going nowhere, uh, you know, you have no confidence. You're going to be violent. You're probably gay. It's just like it. These are not productive discussions to have because the people on the computer act like villains. Yes, exactly. In a heartbeat, people could say you were trying to flirt with her if you asked that invasive question. It is so insane. I have one person on Twitter that I don't even want to show it because it's so ridiculous. Imagine someone thinking you're trying to like invade their personal life by asking them what their favorite tea is. Like me knowing what your favorite tea is going to like reveal who you are. I mean, whatever. Because you're a straight guy, you are not going to be taken seriously and will be antagonistic towards you as possible. That's definitely what they do. But that's why I said when you have people who react that way, you can understand why I don't see a point in interacting with most of these people when they come on my stuff, which is something they know instinctively and is the reason they tend to come on streams instead of comment on videos anymore. Non-binary wrote a comment. But look, non-binary, it's not about excessive hostility towards men. It's about excessive hostility towards straight men. That was the point I was making about bringing up LGBT because I've seen gay men come online and talk trash about other men, and nobody says you don't have a right to be upset. The way you're acting in this video, no wonder no man would ever like you. I don't see it with other orientations of people. Yes. What are your interests was the question. And I had another one who said that they thought I was being personal or invasive by asking them what their favorite tea was. Because we all know the best way to get personal information on somebody is to ask them what their favorite tea is. Like, and again, the reason I don't feel bad about this stuff is I flip it. I say to myself, what I feel as if someone asking me, what is your favorite tea, is invasive. I would just say I don't drink tea. That would be my answer to it. I wouldn't. It's all bad. They use your sexual orientation against you. That's why I don't like the I word because there's no equivalent for that word for other group. Like, listen, there are derogatory terms that people use towards LGBT people, right? I don't want to use them because I'm not trying to get in trouble, but those words, right, when they're used, are considered are called out for being slurs. And when someone calls you those words, they're not inferred to be, oh, you hate this other group of people. When someone calls you the I word, they're saying you hate women, that you're possibly going to commit violence against them or people in general. You know, no group besides straight men has a word like that. A word that has no actual real meaning, to where I've said it's just used for men that criticize women in any capacity. Um, and just when you look at that word and you just think about it and you think about other, because there are a whole bunch of other types of people. You got straight women, gay men, transgender women, transgender men. You don't see these other groups with words that are meant to demean them and also meant to indicate that they're going to do something violent or evil or hateful towards other people. Yeah, this is the only group that has that. And I've seen plenty of women that will message a man online and nobody says they're trying to flirt with them. Because like a lot of people do understand how insanely difficult it is to get with a broad, to where like they instinctively know if it's a woman messaging a man, she's probably not trying to get with him. It's over something else. It's very messed up. Well, like I said, people have they have made being a straight man a bad thing. And we can go more into the video because that'll be more organized in the stream where I just have to think of different things. Um, And it always pisses me off to see people who, like, I had one person ask me, what are you going to do if your brother has trouble getting, it's like, what am I supposed to do? You know, like you have an era where a bunch of chicks are sought after by loads of men they don't even like. And, you know, I don't know what I can do that's going to change that. And I've been very honest about the fact that in instances where I've spoken to some woman or some chick that I was interested in, it's not that she was so amazing and great and, you know, all these other stuff that they tell men to be to get with a woman. It's because she's your last resort. When someone doesn't have 10, 5, hell, even 3 options, you have a much higher chance of getting with them. And that's how it used to be before the computers. You know, I disagreed with James on this. He said that he didn't believe if he lived in past eras, he would have been able to get with someone. But these groups didn't exist back then for a reason. Just wait until this woman hits the wall, then she'll like you. Yeah, I have to wait until I'm someone's sloppy seconds. Again, if you go to a 7th grader or an 8th grader and tell them, oh, don't worry if one of your classmates rejects you, you'll just pick up somebody else in 10 years after getting rejected by 90 plus chicks and, you know, doing all of these Herculean tasks that no normal person would even do for the most part. Yeah, then you'll finally be liked enough by one of them to maybe go on a date. No one thinks that's weird. And that's why I said I don't recommend stuff on here because it's crappy. I don't want to tell someone to go pay for a prostitute to lose their virginity. But like I said, if these chicks are as difficult to get to go on a date as has been described here by me and corroborated by other men, I don't know what other choice you have if you are interested in losing it. Yes, exactly. These groups didn't exist back then, so you could reasonably deduce that it wasn't really that difficult to get with someone back then. Like I said, I spoke to my dad, my grandfather, my best friend's dad, and every one of those men said the same thing, that before they got with the woman that they either married or stayed with for, you know, like years, had some long-term relationship with, they dated multiple women. It's not a normal thing for especially a younger man to talk to such a large group of chicks and end up with nothing. I had a conversation with the guy a year ago. I told him I talked to 90 chicks I rejected each time or they stopped responding with, didn't believe me. Hell, on that video with the 200,000 views, I had people say, I had no idea this was going on or this was so prevalent. Oh my God. Yes, it's not normal for you to have to go through these extraneous steps just to get someone with this between their legs to say, hey, we'll go on a date. I told you I had a person who joked that I could run for the House, like for a U.S. House seat, and I'd have a higher chance of winning than getting a date with a. I believe that. I'm more confident about my prospects of getting 100,000 people to vote for me than I am about getting one date. And if I didn't win the first time, I know I wouldn't have to run 90 plus times to win. They told me they dated multiple women before they got with the women they wanted to marry. That's my point. That, like, when people, and we'll end it with this, when people tell you to just keep waiting for this right one to show up, they are blowing smoke up your behind. They're giving you unrealistic expectations, because even if you get a woman to agree to go on a date with you, there is no guarantee that she is going to fulfill whatever role you have conceived in your head of as being the perfect woman. Who's to say this woman that finally agrees to go on a date with you after years of getting rejected over and over doesn't cheat on you? Doesn't say, okay, we'll go on this one date and that's it, no more. But like I said, those kind of things were acceptable 20, 30, 40 years ago because it wasn't that hard to get another one to agree to go on a date. But that's why I said that, like, people have this weird expectation of straight men to get the tiniest little slither, this little droplet of romantic attention from their contemporary, and somehow be appeased by that enough to keep playing this, for the most part, fruitless game. But look, I talked long enough about this. I addressed why texting is something I don't really like that much. I talked about Falcon and Winter Soldier a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, it sucks. And I don't come on here to try to sugarcoat it or pretend that, I can wave a wand and reverse it. It is garbage.